If you live in New York, California, Minnesota, Illinois, or one of these 6 other states, I have shocking news that could cost your family hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's not what you might think. You might be sitting on a tax time bomb that's blindsiding unsuspecting families and forcing thousands more middle class families to pack up and flee south. And the exodus is accelerating. Hi, I'm Chuck Roulette. I'm an estate and elder law planning attorney licensed in both high tax Minnesota and estate and income tax free Florida. And what I'm about to reveal explains why U-Haul trucks are in such high demand heading from north to south. Now, before we begin, if you haven't already, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you'll be notified when I post new videos like this one. If you have a question, post in the comments below and I may answer it in an upcoming video. And if you stay until the end, I'll share some resources where you can discover more. Now, a recent article on savingadvice.com identified 10 states that are, in their words, getting brutal on estate taxes, end quote. And these are decimating middle-class families. Now, we're not talking about billionaires here. We're talking about regular families with a paid-off home, retirement savings, and life insurance. And here's the secret I've witnessed firsthand over nearly 30 years of practice. Most families think that estate taxes only kick in at like 10 million because of the federal exemption, which at the time of this video is actually 13.99 million per person and set to rise to 15 million in 2026. But these 10 states have their own separate estate taxes with much lower thresholds that many residents of these states do not even know exist. So for example, the article highlights Oregon, $1 million, Massachusetts, 2 million, Minnesota, 3 million with a top tax rate of up to 16%. New York has a devastating estate tax cliff. Washington State, a 20% tax rate, and 5 other states that are equally brutal. Let me put Minnesota's $3 million threshold in perspective. If you own a $500,000 home, $1.8 million in retirement accounts, and $1 million in life insurance, well, that equals an estate of $3.3 million. Boom, you're in the estate tax trap. A young couple with a few $100,000 in home equity in their retirement accounts, a couple million of term life insurance, intended to take care of their kids if something happens to them, you're in the tax trap. But it gets worse. Many states like California, Minnesota, New York, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan are also hammering families with crushing income taxes on retirement distributions, Social Security benefits, and pensions. And here's the dirty truth. These states are broke. Budget deficits, rising costs, aging populations, they need revenue fast. Income taxes are seen as a politically safer route than cutting spending. And the estate tax is seen as a politically safer still, since many residents aren't even aware of it and because dead people don't vote. Many of these states, like Minnesota, haven't adjusted their exemption thresholds in years. So while your home values and retirement accounts have soared, they haven't touched the exemptions. A modest Midwestern home worth $200,000 20 years ago is now worth $800,000. Your 401k has grown. Your life insurance has stayed the same. Well, suddenly you're wealthy in the eyes of tax collectors. And here's the kicker. These states are becoming incredibly aggressive about pursuing families who try to escape. So that's why Florida has become a destination for many tax refugees. Every day, families from New York, California, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and other high tax states are making the move. And it's easy to see why. Florida offers zero state income tax, zero estate tax, zero tax on Social Security, zero tax on pension income, zero state level tax on your IRA and 401k distributions. So for example, if you're a retiree with $100,000 in annual income from a high tax state, well, moving to Florida could save you, say, $8,000 to $13,000 a year or more. That's $80,000 to $130,000 over 10 years. But here's where families make a costly mistake that can destroy everything. They think Florida residency is as simple as buying a condo and spending 6 months and a day here. And unfortunately, it's not that simple. So for example, let me tell you about a family from Minnesota. They bought a beautiful home in Naples, spent 8 months a year there, got Florida driver's licenses, and thought they were set. However, when their husband died, Minnesota came after the estate with a vengeance and won a substantial tax judgment because they still owned a home and other assets in Minnesota. I can share dozens more stories where family moved to Florida, were audited and ended up having to pay back taxes, penalties, and interest to Minnesota because Minnesota still treated them as residents for income tax purposes. In fact, for many years, the fastest growing division of the Minnesota Department of Revenue was the one going after people who had moved out of state to no income tax states like Florida. And they weren't just targeting those with large incomes. In fact, they were going after middle class families because they were less likely to be able to hire a lawyer and fight it and usually just paid the bill. High tax states have become ruthless. They'll examine where you vote, where you bank, where your doctors are located, where your important documents are kept, your family and social connections, your business interests, and more. And even if you successfully establish Florida residency, you could still face brutal estate taxes in your former state if you keep property or assets there. Minnesota families keeping their lake house, well, potentially still subject to Minnesota estate tax on that property. New York families maintaining their beach home, same problem. Wisconsin families attempting to avoid income taxes in their retirement, well, you better make sure you check all the boxes. So smart families don't just move, they plan strategically. So here are just a couple of the key strategies I use with my private clients. Strategy number 1 is multi-state trust planning. So if you own assets in multiple states, so for example, you own a home in Florida and a home back up north, a will all but guarantees probate in each state, doubling your legal costs and delays. And that's because the Florida courts only have jurisdiction over your property here. They don't have jurisdiction over your home back up north, only the courts there do. So it's probate in more than one state. So instead, a properly structured trust can avoid probate entirely and provide tax savings. And here's a key planning tip. If you become a Florida resident, you should update your trust to Florida law in order to meet Florida's homestead requirements, which provides significant creditor protection and caps on property taxes. If you get it wrong, you may lose your valuable homestead protections. And this can be particularly dangerous if you put your home into an existing trust created in your former state of residence, since it's highly likely to lack the language required by Florida law. Also, updating your trust to operate under Florida law can help prove your Florida residency for tax purposes. Now, strategy number 2 is advanced tax planning. Things like bypass trusts that can double your exemption, irrevocable life insurance trusts that can remove the value of policies from your taxable estate, lifetime asset protection trusts that protect wealth you leave your kids from their future divorces and creditors, qualified personal residence trusts that allow you to pass a home to your children while saving on taxes, charitable strategies that slash estate taxes while creating a legacy, and more. Now, the third strategy is lifetime asset protection. Now, most people only think about taxes after they pass, but what about the $100,000 plus annual cost of long-term care? What about lawsuits, economic crashes? Proper asset protection trusts can shield your home and life savings from all these threats while you're still alive. Now, strategy number 4 is property residency establishment. Now, again, this isn't DIY territory. You need a systematic approach that documents every step and severs ties with your former high tax state completely. So if you live in any high tax state and have assets over $500,000, you need to act now. Every day you wait potentially costs your family money and limits your options. Now, having said that, before you make any major relocation decisions, you should grab a copy of the legal roadmap I created. It's the Florida Snowbird Guide, a fast and friendly legal guide for Florida relocation and snowbirds. It reveals the strategies you need to know to legally establish Florida residency and escape the tax collectors in your high tax states. It's available for sale on Amazon, or you can download a digital copy for free by clicking the link in the description below. If you would like to discover more or to schedule a consultation to discuss your own planning, visit our website at roulettelaw.com. I'm also hosting an exclusive online masterclass where I'll be revealing the strategies I use with my private clients and their families to help them avoid probate, save on taxes, protect the money they leave for their kids in the event they get divorced, and much more. And you can sign up by clicking the link in the description below. The great tax exodus is real and it's accelerating. Don't let aggressive tax collectors in high tax states rob your family of what you've spent your lifetime building. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button and share this with anyone living in a high tax state. They need to see this information. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to click the like and subscribe button for more wealth protection strategies. And I look forward to seeing you in the masterclass in an upcoming video. Be well.